screamed it? I can't tell.
I knelt down beside her and her eyes fluttered open. You could see at first, and then she stared right at me.
I'll never forget the look she gave me. It haunted my nightmares in the years since.
Sid, did Elizabeth say anything? Did she say anything to you?
Only one word. Edward. And then she started screaming. At first I thought she was screaming in pain, but then she wouldn't stop. And then I realized it wasn't pain, it was fury. Pure, blind fury. She wouldn't stop, and then nothing. It was like her soul had been ripped from her body. I stayed with her until Mr. Marston, the townsman, arrived. Then I went to the kitchen. Why did you tell the police that she was already dead when you got to her? It seemed like the best idea at the time. I didn't want Mr. Marston to think that she had suffered, so I told him that she was already gone when I got to her.
Wow. That is an unexpected revelation.
Well, but! Sid, that must be an awful weight to have been carrying around for all these years.
Yes, ma'am.
But I can understand your reason.
Mr. Potter, I think it's time.
I wasn't finished, Townsend. Sidney, what was your relationship with Mrs. Marston? I guess you'd like to spend a little time in the garden.
Mrs. Marston was a very kind lady, but me and her shared no more than the cordial exchanges of employer and servant. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some things to attend to. A storm like this can cause all types of damages.
I must say, this is all very intriguing, but whatever happened to the maid?
She's here?
No, I mean the maid that was there that night.
I'm not quite sure, actually. Do you know Cassandra?
No, I don't, nor do I care. If it wasn't for her and that insipid Edward, my sweet baby sister might still be here today.
Would you care for some tea, Miss Monroe?
I wonder where she went. I mean, couldn't imagine how she felt. She might have felt, well, partly to blame for what happened.
Partly to blame. I hope she suffered for the rest of her life.
Come on, Nancy Gussie, that's a bit steep, don't you think? In your version, Edward pushed her off the roof. You can't have it both ways.
He did. She was my baby sister and he took her from me. It's his fault she isn't here now. And stop calling me Auntie Cassie.
There.
I'm sorry, Miss Monroe. I didn't mean to pry.
No, you must excuse me. I overreacted. I haven't been in this house in so long and it all came flooding back. It overwhelmed me for a moment. And please, call me Miss Monroe.
Of course. Still, why would staying in this house overnight be such a problem? This all happened so long ago. Surely you don't believe in ghost stories.
It's hard not to. There are so many of them. After her death, Edward locked himself away and hardly ever left. Even we barely saw him.
I can imagine why. He must have felt guilty about it all.
Probably. He felt guilty about it, all right. Guilty of murdering his wife.
But I thought no one knew what really happened. I mean, surely the police were involved.
Of course they were. But he played the part of grieving husband incredibly convincingly.
Maybe because he was grieving?
I don't know, sis. Maybe he did do it. Maybe. That's why Elizabeth's ghost still haunts this place.
Exactly. And that's why she won't rest until the truth is known.
Did you say, ghost? As in, ghost? Ghost?
That's what the stories say, though Beatrice and I have never seen anything.
Oh. Annette, what do you think? Have you sensed anything strange since we got here? Annette is sensitive to these kinds of things.
Really?
Yes, ever since I was a child, I usually keep it to myself. I felt something when we first arrived here. It was odd, a feeling of confusion. I put it down to the storm. Sometimes the storm can amplify certain energies, but the more we're here, the more it's changing into something more angry.
That is a load of rubbish, if you ask me.
Nobody did ask you, Wilbur.
Like I said, I usually keep it to myself. It tends to make people a little nervous.
That was her, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. She was such a kind, sweet soul. She loved Edward more than life itself. She was devastated when she found out that she couldn't have children. She knew how much Edward wanted a child, a family, someone to carry on the family name. That was when her headache started. terribly painful. It was a stress, you see. Stress that she couldn't give Edward the one thing he truly wanted.
And what did he do? Comfort her? Reassure her? No, he left her alone. He abandoned her when she needed him the most.
Be fair, Cassandra, that's not quite true. He did everything he could to help her, brought her to the best doctors money could buy.
But it wasn't enough, was it? He spent his money on her, took her to see every doctor he could find. But what she really needed was his love and understanding. She gave up everything for him, everything, and all she ever asked for in return was his love.
Hold Me Forever!
Excuse me?
Hold Me Forever starring Cassandra Monroe and Tyrone Power. I must have seen it 20 times. It's the scene where Olivia tells Charles why her sister died of a broken heart. It was so moving, but I never imagined I'd see it in person.
Well done, Mr. Brooks. You really are a fan. Yes, it is a quote from Hold Me Forever, but it doesn't make it any less true. If Edward only spent more time giving Elizabeth his love and attention, she might still be here today.
So sorry to interrupt. Mr. Townsend was wondering if there's anything else you might need? No, I think we're all fine for now. You can clear the tea things if you would.
You must excuse my mother's theatrics. It all gets a bit too much sometimes. As she said earlier, this is the first time she's been in the house since my Aunt Elizabeth died.
You have nothing to apologize about. It must be a great strain on her. Do you remember her at all? Your Aunt Elizabeth, I mean.
Oh, not much. I was very young when she passed. But from what I do remember, she was lovely, kind and sweet. I visited my uncle from time to time over the years. After she died, he was a changed man.
If you don't mind me asking, what do you think happened that night?
I think Nina's descriptions of the night's events were mostly accurate up to a point. Past then, it's impossible to say what could have happened.
How so?
Well, I think Edward was in a rage at being caught. When he was that angry, she was terrified of him.
I've never heard anything about his temper. I only ever heard that he truly loved Aunt Elizabeth and would have done anything for her.
Well, cousin, maybe you don't know everything. I know that Aunt Elizabeth wrote to my mother several times about his terrible temper. It got worse after he found out he wouldn't have a child to carry on his name. Maybe that night, his temper got the better of him. They could have fought, or maybe she was pleading with him and he pushed her over the balcony.
But it's all speculation. No one really knows what happened that night. Besides Edward and Elizabeth. It's a bit too late to ask them.
Maybe, maybe not.
What Robin says is true, but I have a feeling that something in this house wants the truth to be known. Why else would Edward keep me from this house for all those years?
Maybe he didn't want some interfering busybody harassing him while he was mourning.
Besides, it's not like you didn't twist it to your advantage. How many magazines did you have interviewing you after her death?
They came to me.
Still, money doesn't buy that kind of fame.
Now, hold on 1 minute.
How dare you accuse me of using my sister's death for publicity? I was only trying to keep her memory alive the only way I knew how.
But I don't remember you accusing Mr. Marston of any wrongdoing.
Trust me, I wanted to, but my publicist warned me it would be career suicide to accuse a man as rich and powerful as Edward Marston of such a crime with no hard evidence. But that's just my cross to bear. I should have said something. I should have spoken my mind. Maybe then there would have been some justice for her.
Yes, that is your burden. We all want to know what happened the night Elizabeth died. And now we finally have a chance to find out.
How do you propose to do that?
Well, we're here all night, aren't we?
Aunt Bee is right. We might as well take the opportunity to nose around, see what we can dig up. I've always wanted to see their bedroom, see the scene of the crime.
Is there anything else that we can do?
Oh, I know. We can have a seance. Do you know why we're having it?
Oh, please say yes.
Yes, I'd be willing to do that, but I need something of Elizabeth to really focus on her energy.
Just only if you really do want to, dear. Don't feel coerced into doing something you don't want to do.
No, it's all right. I really want to help if I can.
Great, let's pull that information and see what we know. Who in the staff have you spoken to?
I've tried to speak to Townsend, but he won't say a word of any of it.
Yes, me too. I can't look out if he's incredibly loyal or if he has something to hide.
Do you think Townsend helped Edward kill Elizabeth and then cover it up?
Heavens, no, I think he must have seen or heard something that night that he's not telling us.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to inquire if you are ready to retire for the evening. I can show you to your rooms. I've had them made ready.
That would be most kind, Townsend.
Are any of our rooms anywhere near Elizabeth's?
No, miss. Mrs. Marston's room is on the east wing of the house, and all of your rooms are on the west wing.
Would we be able to see her room?
I will see if I can locate a key, miss. Would you please show our guests their rooms?
Right this way, if you would.
I'm gonna head to the kitchen, see if I can't have Mr. Poole for me up midnight snack.
I've been meaning to chat. Come sit. Do you know where the key to Mrs. Marston is kept? We asked Townsend, but he's being a little bit, Townsend.
I actually do know where he keeps it.
Would you be an absolute angel and go and find it for me? It's terribly important.
Of course.
Good grief, man, you almost scared me half to death. What in the blazes were you doing out there?
I thought I saw...
Thought you saw what?
Nothing, sir. Sorry.
Well, come in out of the rain.
I think I'll go around the side of the kitchen, sir. This peel will have a fit if I jump all over the floor.
Well, close the doors, will you? It's freezing out there. Did you find it?
Right here.
Beauty. Didn't run into any trouble, did you?
No, Mrs. Peel was too busy flirting with Cassandra Monroe's husband. She didn't even notice me.
You are a lovely girl. I'm eternally grateful.
Mrs. Robert Alscott. It's almost like history repeating itself, Miss Elizabeth. A modest girl from a small town marrying a handsome, very wealthy, and did I mention handsome gentleman? Of course, I wouldn't end up like you, though. Hurling myself off a balcony in a tantrum is not my style. Of course, it would make having this a little bit more legitimate. I would say that I'm sorry for taking it off your desk, but that would just be lying. You clearly didn't need it anymore, and it looks better on me anyways. What in the blazes was that? It's you. What are you doing in there? Is this a secret passageway? Where does it lead to?
Oh my goodness, Mr. Hill, that has to be the most amusing story I've ever heard.
Well, I've loads of stories just like that one.
Oh my, I'd love to hear him sometime. Lucy, hurry up with Mr. Hill's recast. Poor man's gonna starve. God, not over there, over here. She's so slow sometimes.
Well, thank you so much, Marvin, anyways. Terribly kind of you to go out of your way to make me something to eat at such a late hour, especially after that glorious meal you made her.
Oh, it's no trouble at all. It's nice to cook for people that actually enjoy the food I've made. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but poor Mr. Marston barely touched anything I made, especially in those last few months. It's like he completely lost the will to live. Poor soul.
Yeah, well, his loss is our gain, you know. If I'm to stay here an entire night, I might as well be fed and happy, I say. I think I'll take this up to my room if it's all the same.
Oh, it's no trouble at all. I'll do it. If Lucy does it, you won't get it till next week.
Lead the way, Marvin. Give me a tour on the way.
Lucy, you're too slow. Lucy, that's not right. Lucy, everything you do is wrong. That's odd. Who do you belong to? But how is that possible? Don't.
What in the dickens are you blabbering on about? There's nobody in here! And stop that blooming crying! I can't hear anything when
sniveling little wretch! Don't you dare tell tales!
Don't you raise your hand at her again, Marjorie. Can't you see how scared she is?
So I'm supposed to just stand here and listen to her tell lies?
I don't tell lies. You mean to tell me you've never seen anything strange in this house? Anything you can't quite explain?
No, I haven't. I come here, I do my job, and I leave. Eliza knows the stories are right. Everyone in town knows the stories about Marston Manor. But do I believe them? No! They're a bunch of nonsense.
Marjorie Peel, I've been here a lot longer than you, and I know what I've seen.
What you've seen, Sydney, has come from the bottom of a booze glass. You're as bad as she is.
You don't know what I've seen. Miss Elizabeth never left this place. I don't think she ever could. The housekeeper before you, why do you think she left? She left because of what she saw. Miss Elizabeth is tied to this place. She can't leave, can't find peace.
You listen to yourself. There is no such thing as ghosts. They're stories made up for children. I'm going to go check on our guests, and if you two know what's good for you, go back to the kitchen and shut your mouths.
Poor girl. Don't you worry about that silly old biddy. You calm down.
A little bit, but I don't want to be in here.
I know. Just tell me what you saw.
I found a locket on the floor. Miss Elizabeth said it was hers, so I put it back on the mantle.
Sid, don't. It's okay. It's hers, all right?
What do we do?
For starters, let's get you back to the kitchen to warm up. Your hands are like ice. Maybe Edna's back there. We'll make us some tea. We'll do us both a world of wonders. After that, Lucy, I don't know.
That girl! What in the world would possess her to tell such
How
lies?
should I know? She's your daughter.
It's not like Lucy to make up stories.
Oh, you know. Nobody asked for your opinion. Keep them to yourself.
And don't go telling Townsend about this. You know how he gets. I can't be dealing with another one of his moods right now. It's been bad enough since Mr. Marston died. He's acting like he's the one who lost a family member.
Frankly, it's shameful for a servant to act that way. So unprofessional. Can't believe Mr. Marston left him all that money. It's not right if you ask me.
Nobody did.
What did you say?
Me? I didn't say anything.
What has gotten into everyone tonight?
The storm's making everybody a bit
They
doolally.
all need to get a grip and stop all this silliness. Sarah, where did Edna get to?
I don't know. She was in here talking to Mr. Ascot the last time I saw her.
Good grief, that's a train wreck waiting to happen.
He came upstairs by himself. Mr. Townsend showed him to his room.
So she's hiding out down here somewhere then. Shiftless little trollop.
I found her napping in the conservatory last week, just sprawled out on the sofa, snoozing her head off. We didn't need the extra hands with all the relatives descending on us. I would have fired her on the spot.
I'm heading to the kitchen to deal with Lucy. See if you can find her and give her what for.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Mr. Poole. Sarah, tidy up in here.
Idiots! Mr. Townsend!
Sarah, I didn't see you there.
Are you feeling all right? It's been a busy day.
A busy week. We haven't had this much going on at the Marston Manor for a very long time now. I'm afraid we're a little out of practice.
At least it'll all be over soon. I'm sorry, Mr. Townsend, that was a little insensitive. After all, you worked for Mr. Marston for so many years. It must be horribly daunting to have to end it all so abruptly. This was your home too and all, and I just...
Yes, well...
Relatives seem to be settling upstairs.
Fortunately, I don't think they have much plans on sleeping tonight. They seem intent upon scouring the house for clues to Mrs. Marston's death. Heaven knows what they think they'll find. They even wanted the key to her room.
I'm guessing under the circumstances you'd rather not hand it over?
I don't know. I feel like handing it over would be wrong. Betrayal somehow to Mr. Marston's trust. I don't know. Maybe it's not my place anymore.
No, I understand. I think...
Hello, Townsend.
Miss Celeste, Mr. Brooks, please let us know if there's anything you need.
Thank you, Townsend. You know, my room is huge. It's bigger than my entire apartment.
Well, Uncle Edward always believed in doing things on a grand scale. He and Uncle Elizabeth designed his house themselves, you know.
Really? Sadly, I don't know much about Edward Marston at all.
Not necessarily a bad thing, I'd say.
Was he really that bad? When your Aunt Elizabeth first met him, I mean, the way everyone describes her, I couldn't imagine her falling for someone with such a violent temper.
Oh, when they first met, he was completely different. Smart, handsome, charismatic. He started to change when he realized he wouldn't have a child to carry on his name. It was just small things at first, but as time went on, well...
Still, it feels strange taking money from someone I've never met.
That all depends on if you're still here in the morning, Arthur.
Well, that depends if these ghost stories are true. Do you really believe Elizabeth's spirit is still here in this house?
Well, there's something going on in this house, that's for sure. So many emotions.
That doesn't surprise me. If Elizabeth wants the truth to be known, this is her last chance for it to come out.
If it were me, I'd be doing everything I could to get somebody's attention.
I have a question. How much do you know about exactly what happened after Elizabeth's death?
Quite a lot, actually. We were staying here at the time.
Really? How come?
Well, we'd arrived for